So we would answer with either sí, me gusta ayudar a mi jefe, or no, no me gusta ayudar a mi jefe. So te gusta ayudar a tu jefe is asking, do you like to help your boss? Do you like to help your boss? So we can answer with, okay, so we could say something like, no, no me gusta ayudar a mi. This would be mine, mi jefe. Because this is your boss, tu jefe. So this would be mi jefe. Very good. Let's just do one more, okay? We did really well with these the other day. We're a little rusty right now, but I think you guys understand the concept. Okay, let's do, nobody see it yet. ¿Te gusta mirar películas de... So it's asking, do you like to watch scary movies? Me too is yo también. So, ¿te gusta mirar películas de terror? Do you like to watch scary movies? Good, Paul. Okay, so Paul and Jacqueline said, very good, Camila, very good. Okay, so they said no. No me gusta mirar. No me gusta, right here, no me gusta, same thing, me gusta mirar películas de terror. Yo tampoco. No, we haven't lost sound. Or I don't think so. Anyone else has lost? I think we're okay. And Corel, sí me gusta mirar películas de terror. Very good, brave lady. Yo no, a mí no me gusta, me da miedo. Okay, so let's go on and practice now. Let's go on to page 18. Now, on page 18, the other day, we practiced how to conjugate a couple of AR verbs. Now, we did the verb llegar, and then we also did the verb nadar, and we practiced how to conjugate it using our subject pronouns. So why don't we do another verb? Let me pick one from here. How about the verb viajar, to travel? Okay, the verb viajar, to travel. So let's conjugate it. Here we go. Yo. I'll give you like 5 seconds to put it into the chat. Let's see who practiced over our little one-day break. All right. Yo viajo. There we go. So we drop the AR, we add an O. Then we have tú. So I travel. Yeah. So Pramila, very nice. Anybody else? There we go. Yes, girl. Yo viajo, tú viajas. I travel, you travel. Él, which is he. So remember, with yo, we're going to drop the AR, we're going to add O. Yo viajo, tú viajas, él. No takers, huh? So with él, with ella, with usted, we're going to drop the AR, and we're adding only an A. Yes, Andrea, very good. Malvika, very good. Okay, so yo viajo, I travel. Tú viajas, you travel. Él viaja, he travels. Same thing here. Ella, which is she. So now it should be easy. Ella viaja. So he travels, she travels. Usted, formal you. So this is informal, formal. So look, yes. Usted viaja. There we go. Let's come up here. Nosotros, nosotras. Carmela, yep. Viajamos. And the last one, ellos, ellas, ustedes. Yay. Very good, Coral. Very good, Pamela. Ellos, ellas, ustedes viajan. So they travel, you plural travel. Remember, this is a group of men or a group of mixed men and women and a group of women. Okay? So there we go. Yo viajo, tú viajas, él, ella, usted viaja, nosotros viajamos, ellos, ellas, ustedes viajan. So far, so good? Any questions? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and continue then where we left off the other day. No questions. Okay, so the other day we left off on page 18. We finished doing that, finished conjugating, and now we are going to do exercise B. So we're going to continue to conjugate, but this time we're going to do, actually, no, sorry. No, we did do that already. We did do exercise B. We didn't finish, we didn't do all of them so that you could practice, but we did do many of them. Now, are there any on there that I asked you to do the rest of them? So are there any on there that you have a question with? Because while you're thinking or looking or looking around to see if there's any questions that you might have, we're going to go ahead and continue with the verb necesitar, which is on page 17, the verb necesitar. And I'm going to open up a slide and just wait for any questions you might have. There you go. Okay, looks like no questions. All right then, we're going to go on and talk about the verb necesitar, to need. Okay, so the verb necesitar means to need. It can be followed by either an object, when you literally need something, or a verb, when there's something you need to do. So you would set it up with subject, then plus the verb necesitar, and then plus either the object, when you need something, or the verb, when there's something you need to do. So here's two examples. Yo, which would be the subject, necesito, so we conjugate it like a normal AR verb. Yo necesito una pluma. I need a pen. And then we have yo necesito trabajar. I need to work. Yo necesito trabajar. Whenever you have one verb followed immediately by another verb, so in that second sentence, yo necesito trabajar, you only conjugate the first verb. The second verb will always be in the infinitive form. So in English, what that means, infinitive would be to work. So in English, you have those two words, to and then plus the verb creates the infinitive. Whereas in Spanish, by having the ending AR, that already indicates it's the infinitive. So notice how in the example above, necesito is conjugated to yo necesito. But trabajar remains in the infinitive, the AR form of the verb. So here's a few more sentences, some more examples. Yo necesito llamar a mi mamá. I need to call my mother. So we have yo necesito is conjugated, llamar, which is the infinitive, a mi mamá. Same thing in English. I need, which is conjugated, to call, the infinitive, my mother. Ella necesita trabajar más. She needs to work more. Same thing. Ella, the subject, necesita, that's conjugated, trabajar, that's infinitive, más, or adverb. So we have she needs, which is necesita, to work, the infinitive, more. Nosotros necesitamos un carro. So in this case, we have an object, something that we need. Nosotros necesitamos un carro. We need a car. We need a car. Okay, so far so good? We're going to do an exercise to practice necesitar, the verb necesitar. We're going to do an exercise on page 19. If you're following on the book, it's page 19, exercise B. We're going to just conjugate the verb necesitar using these sentences here. Let me just set my little board up here so I'm falling over. Okay, and all right, it's difficult to go back and forth between the. There we go. Camera and the slide. Okay, so let me erase this. And I know that I realize that not everybody has the book, so I'll write out the sentences anyway so you can see them. But if you do have the book, you can follow along on page 19. So sorry. So we're just going to fill in the blanks using the verb necesitar, to need. So our first sentence, we have yo blank estudiar español. So what I want you to tell me is what we're going to put in there, and then I'll translate the sentence for you. So tell me how we're going to conjugate that verb, how it's going to fit into there. I'll just keep writing while I read. There we go. So I have one answer, but I'll give you a minute because I'd like to see more than that. Okay, so let me see. Good, good. I see them trickling in. So Melvika, what do you think should go in there? Just on number one, how can we fit, what do we put in there? Yo blank estudiar español. Okay, I see more answers, very nice. Okay, so we have yo necesito estudiar español. Muy bien. Oh, and I have the translation too, perfect. I need to study Spanish. That is correct. Yo necesito estudiar español. I need to study Spanish. Okay, so do number two then. I have someone already moving ahead. Very good, very nice. So tell me number two. Ella blank tomar agua. And agua is water. Ella blank tomar agua. Julia. Julia, what do we do with number two? All right. Ella necesita tomar agua. Gracias, Julia. Ella necesita tomar agua. She needs, so it's she, not I. She needs to drink water. Though I do too. She needs to drink water. Okay, so now number three. Renzo blank trabajar. And here, how about Vinny? Vinny, what do you think should be in here? What fits here? I'll keep writing. Very good, thank you. Anybody else? Everybody, I'd like to see everyone participate. Okay, I see we moved on. Okay, so then let's do, or actually, no, you haven't moved on. You guys are awesome. Very good. Okay, so I have Renzo necesita trabajar. Renzo needs to work. Very good. Okay, número 4, number 4. Ellos blank un papel. So back up here, remember it's trabajar. We have the infinitive, not trabajo, because then that changes the whole sentence. Then it would be something like Renzo needs a job, but what we're saying is he needs to work. There we go. Okay, so we have ellos necesitan un papel. Ellos necesitan un papel. They need a paper. They need a paper. Ellos necesitan un papel. Okay, so the next one. Nosotros blank sillas. Nosotros blank sillas. I apologize. That baby is my baby. I hope everybody can still hear. Andrea, very good. Camila, very good. So we have nosotros. Nosotros necesitamos sillas. There we go. Nosotros necesitamos sillas. Yes, we need chairs. Yes, that's exactly correct. We need chairs. Nosotros necesitamos sillas. Okay, and we have 2 more. Okay, so we'll just do this last one because I think this is all it's going to fit here. So we have el blank un lápiz. El blank un lápiz. Ajá, muy bien. Él necesita, I know I'm squeezing it in, I hope you can see it. Él necesita un lápiz. Okay, good question. So asking how come we don't have unas here? It's either way. So if we translate this in English, we would say we need chairs. If we put unas, we would say we need some chairs. So it's the same translation. It's the same as in English. So we can either say we need chairs or we need some chairs. Either way, either form would be correct. Okay. Okay, perfect. So now, any questions? We're going to go on to forming some questions. There we go. Let me look, see if there's questions. Okay. So we're going to go to page 17 down at the bottom, and we're going to talk about how to ask questions in Spanish. So to ask questions, you just have to change the order, kind of like just like the same as in English. You have to change the order of a sentence to make a question out of a statement. Okay, so that means that the subject will go after the main verb. So here's just a few examples. So if we have something like, this is what's in the book. ¿Dónde trabajas? ¿Dónde trabajas tú? Okay. ¿Dónde trabajas tú? Where do you work? Where do you work? So it's the same thing. You would change the order of the sentence. So here what you're doing is that you have the main verb, trabajas, conjugated from trabajar, work, to work, and then we have our subject after it. Okay? ¿Dónde trabajas tú? And here's another sentence. ¿Cocinas tú todos los días? ¿Cocinas tú todos los días? Do you cook every day? Same thing. So here we have our main verb, cocinas, from the verb cocinar, to cook. And then we have our subject, tú, which is you. Now, in everyday speaking, this is just a little tidbit, which is also here in the book. In everyday speaking, we do not use the subject pronoun in a question. Okay? So you can eliminate right here. And you can eliminate it here. So the sentence, the common sentence, the one that usually people use, here, for example, you would not say, ¿Dónde trabajas tú? You would just say, ¿Dónde trabajas? And here you would not say, ¿Cocinas tú todos los días? You would just say, ¿Cocinas todos los días? Okay? Now, I would still know what the subject is, and here's why. When I conjugate the verb trabajar, and I conjugate it in this way, this tells me, when I drop the AR and I put the AS, that tells me that the subject is tú. That already tells me. I don't need to have tú there, because by seeing the way it's conjugated, that's my giveaway. Same here. It's conjugated with the AS, just like this one is. When I see this, I already know that I am speaking to you. I don't have to put it there. I already know. We're all good here? Any questions on that? Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and move on. Let me just see, because I think there's a... Okay, so if there's any questions on that, or if you want more practice on that, on exercise C on page 18, there's more practice for that. But for now, we're going to go ahead and move on. We are going to go on to page 20 and look at the Spanglish real quick. Okay, so there's, if you have the book, you can follow along. If not, I'm just going to talk about a couple of these, okay? So it has a part in the book here where it talks about Spanglish words. So it says here, in the United States, there are many Americans whose parents are from Latin America, and they learn Spanglish, which is really just a combo of Spanish and English. So you're taking maybe a common English word and kind of turning it into Spanish. Okay, so let's look at a couple of those. Okay, so I guess technically it is incorrect. However, it's so many people speak it that it's just something that's good to know, and plus it's actually pretty easy to understand. So the incorrect way to say to push, for example, so the wrong way to say to push would be, this is the wrong way, would be something like puxar or puchar. Okay? If you see this, or I'm sorry, if you hear this, you wouldn't see it. If you hear this, someone say something like puxar or puchar, you would probably figure out that they're talking about to push. That is incorrect. The correct way would be to say empujar. Empujar. Yo empujo, tú empujas, ellos empujan. Okay? Let's do another one here. How about to park? Like to park a car. To park. The incorrect way to say to park is parquear. But you can see how it sounds super similar to park. Park, parquear. Park, parquear. So the correct way of saying this, of saying to park, would be estacionar. Estacionar. Yo voy a estacionar mi carro. Yo estaciono, tú estacionas. This would be the correct way. Okay, I'll do one more. The last one here, truck. The noun truck. That's supposed to be an arrow. Okay, there we go. Okay, so truck. So the incorrect way to say truck would be something like troque, or I've heard troca. But you can see how it's similar to truck. Truck, troca. Me subo a mi troca. I get in my truck. The right way to say it would be something like camión, or also camioneta, just depending where you're from. Camión, oopsie. There you go, or camioneta. Okay, and the last thing we're going to talk about in lesson 3 is some common mistakes. So if you look at page 21, there are some common mistakes here, and I have a slide for that. So let me get to it. My slide, here we go. Okay, of course it's not here. So sorry, let me get to it real quick. These slides are kind of in different places, so I have to sometimes make a mistake. There we go, sorry. Okay, so it was lesson 3, now lesson 4. Okay, so common mistakes. So the incorrect way, this sentence here is incorrect. Yo bailar salsa. Okay, it's incorrect because the verb bailar is not conjugated. So the correct way to say that would be yo bailo salsa. Just remember that if it ends in AR, that is the infinitive. You are using the infinitive. What you want to use is the conjugation. In the second one, it's incorrect to say yo gusta bailar or yo me gusta bailar salsa. The correct way to say it would be me gusta bailar or a mí me gusta bailar. So you never use the pronouns yo, tú, él when you use the verb gustar. It's not necessary. Okay, and the last one we have here, it is incorrect to say me gusto bailar. You can see where they have an O at the end instead of an A. The correct way is me gusta bailar. So remember that gusta is a special verb that is not conjugated like a regular verb. Okay, and that is it for lesson 3. That was a long lesson. We're going to go ahead and move on to lesson 4. We have about 10 minutes and we can start talking about lesson 4. In lesson 4, we're going to talk about ER and IR verbs. And we're going to talk about them in the present tense. And we'll talk about just the regular verbs. So if you recall, there's 3 types of verbs in Spanish. AR, which are the most common, and then we have ER and IR. So we'll talk about the other 2 today. And this lesson starts on page 22. So we're going to first look at a list of some verbs from page 23. Right there. Okay? So let's look at some of these verbs and we'll go over the pronunciation. Are there any questions? I don't see anything in the chat, so I think we're okay, but just in case. Okay, so let's look at some regular ER verbs. Estacionar. I have a question. How do we say estacionar? So, estacionar. Yo estaciono, tú estacionas, ellos estacionan, nosotros estacionamos, ustedes estacionan. Okay, so let's go back to our verbs. So our regular ER verbs, we have, we have our verb to learn, aprender, aprender. And please follow along so you can practice your pronunciation. To drink, beber. To eat, comer. To understand, comprender or entender. To run, correr. To depend, and this is a cognate, depender. To read, leer. To answer, responder, which is also a cognate, respond, to respond, responder. To sell, vender. Now at the bottom we have the IR verb. So we have to open to, no, not to open to, just to open. I think that to is there by mistake. So we have to open, abrir. To decide, another cognate, decidir. To describe, describir. To divide, dividir. To write, escribir. To receive, recibir. To go up to or to rise or to climb, subir. And to live, vivir. Vivir. Okay, so let's conjugate. Let's look at these verbs. Let's conjugate them. If you're following along, these are at the bottom of page 23. Okay, the conjugations are in your book at the bottom of page 23. So except for the nosotros form, ER and IR verbs are conjugated the same. So to conjugate an ER verb or an IR verb in the simplest present tense, you would drop the ending, ER or IR, and add one of the following endings. So the first verb there, vender, to sell. Okay, so we're going to drop the ER and add some endings here. So we have vender, to sell, yo vendo. We dropped ER, we added an O, yo vendo, I sell. Tú vendes, you sell. We dropped the ER, we added an ES. Él, ella, or usted vende. So he sells, she sells, or formal you sell. Nosotros vendemos, we sell. Or nosotras vendemos. And the last one, ellos, ellas, ustedes venden. So they sell, or you sell as a group. You all sell. Okay, let's look at decidir, the IR verb, to decide. Decidir. Yo decido. So that looks the same as the ER. We're just adding an O. Tú decides. Same thing. We just added ES. Él, ella, or usted decide. We added E to both of them. Okay, here's the difference. Nosotros decidimos. Nosotras decidimos. So instead of adding an E-MOS, we added an I-MOS. That's pretty easy to remember because if it's an ER verb, you'll add an E-MOS. If it's an IR verb, you'll add an I-MOS. And the last one, ellos, ellas, ustedes deciden. So here we did the same thing. We added EN. So some sentences. Yo vendo libros. Yo vendo libros. I sell books. Ellos venden bebidas. They sell drinks. Ellos venden bebidas. Nosotros decidimos bailar. We decide to dance. Nosotros decidimos bailar. Ustedes deciden ir. You all decide to go. Ustedes deciden ir. Okay, so let me show you another slide. Not this one. Here we go. Okay, so we're just going to review by showing all three of the verbs conjugated so you can compare them, okay? So like we said, there's three different types of verbs. They end in AR, ER, IR. So to conjugate the verbs in the simple present tense, we take the infinitive, we drop the ending, and we add one of the following, okay? So let's just take a look at this chart real quick. So we have the AR verb first, to trabajar, to work. Then we have to sell, vender, which is our ER verb. Then we have decidir, to decide, which is our IR verb. So let's look at the AR verb first. So we have yo trabajo, tú trabajas, él, ella, usted trabaja, nosotros o nosotras trabajamos, ellos, ellas, ustedes trabajan. Now let's look at the ER verb, vender, to sell. So we have yo vendo, tú vendes, él vende, nosotros vendemos, ellas venden. And then our last one, decidir, which is our IR verb, we have yo decido, to decide, yo decido, tú decides, ella decide, nosotros decidimos, and ustedes deciden. So with all three kinds of verbs, the yo form ends in O. The tú form ends in AS or ES. The él, ella, usted form ends in A or E. The nosotros and nosotras ends in amos, hemos, imos, just depending on if it's A, E, or I. And the ellos, ellas, ustedes end in AN or EN. Okay, so how's that looking? So let's conjugate a couple verbs before we go today. Let's go like this. Okay, so we conjugated two of them together, or we saw it in the example. So let me have you do one, okay? So here's my verb, correr, to run. So I have yo, so go for it. You guys write it in the chat there for me. Okay, so remember, we have to drop the ER. So try that again, Julia. So drop the ER and then add your ending. There we go. Muy bien. Very good. Okay, so just yo. So let me have as many people as possible to practice here, to conjugate it. So we have yo corro. Okay, so now we have tú. And I see it's time, but we'll try to finish. We want to finish up two verbs. So yo corro, tú corres. Ella. Good. Ella corre. Muy bien. Nosotros. Corremos. Ellos corren. Muy bien, todo el mundo. Muy bien. The IR verb we're going to do, subir. To go up. So we have yo. Yo subo, muy bien. Correcto. Tú. Oops. I just see I did that. I apologize. It should be tú corres. Yo subo, tú subes. Just like this one. Okay? Yo subo, tú subes, ella. Not suba. Ella sube, muy bien, Paul. Ella sube. There we go. Nosotros, here's the difference, okay? Here's where it changes. Muy bien. Malvika, muy bien. Carmela, muy bien. There we go. So here, nosotros corremos, we have an E because we have an E. And here we have nosotros subimos. We have an I because there's an I right there. Okay? And the last one, ellos suben. Excelente. Ellos suben. Muy bien. Okay, everyone, you guys did a great job. Okay, so on Tuesday we're going to continue to practice these. We have a lot of exercises in the book that we can use to practice, and we'll finish up lesson 4. This lesson is actually pretty small in comparison to lesson 3, so we'll go ahead and finish lesson 4 and then hopefully begin on lesson 5. In the meantime, are there any questions before I go? Thank you very much for your participation. That is always appreciated. Just remember to please practice. Use the book to practice any way you can. No, I myself am not recording this. Okay, well, you guys have been great. Thank you very much. Buenas noches. Nos vemos el martes. I will see everybody on Tuesday.